Okay, everybody, I am really, really excited today because I am joined by the one and only Kristine Sutherland, aka you know her from Buffy as Joyce Summers, but it's really exciting because today she comes out with a new film. It's an indie rom-com called Before, During, After, and she plays Pat. Kristine, how you doing today?
I'm good. Hello, everybody out there in Zoom land. I mean, what
Yeah,
would we do without Zoom?
I know, like this is crazy. Like I'm in New York, I'm talking to you all the way across the world. Um, and yeah, and it's cool because I just got sent your film. I watched it, I loved it, and I was wondering for you, how did a part like this even come about?
Well, we knew Finnerty, from just the world, from her work, from the theater, from New York, and she just reached out and asked us if we would be interested in these two parts. And we had never worked together, my husband and I, so it was a wonderful opportunity. And we read the script, and we just were in love with it. So we were really excited to do it.
Yeah, so that's interesting. You mentioned you and your husband are both in this film, and what I thought was incredible was that you actually play husband and wife in the film. Can you tell me like how that experience was? Was that like surreal?
Yeah, it was because our careers have been so separate and so different. Years ago, I think I was in a Dr. Pepper commercial, and then he got later got cast to do the voiceover. So before this, that was the only time we had crossed paths.
Okay.
And it was really interesting. I mean, it just seemed totally natural to go to
So
work together.
you guys in the film get along pretty well. Now, did that feel like it
Mhm.
was realistic to real life? Like, did you guys feel like you had to act a little different on screen together?
No, I think we just brought ourselves together to it because it was so right, it was so perfect for both of us, you know.
Yeah, no, and it came off great. You guys did an awesome job, and I wonder too because you were in Honey I Shrunk the Kids, this big movie. You're in this big TV show, Buffy. Can you kind of compare those experiences to doing like an indie film like this? Like what that was like, pros and cons wise?
Well, the work is the work, and 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 so in that sense it's all the same. um but I think there's just sort of this family, and any production can become a family, but there's a more of an intimacy, more of a sort of striking out into the unknown. What's going to happen with this? You don't have some of the assurances, feeble insurances that you have with a big name production with a lot of money behind it. So, but other than that, the crew was fantastic. So a lot of the new technology, gosh, which is I don't even know how many years it's been since the what is it, the red camera came
Sure,
out,
right.
and the digital cameras that will do really good filming, and that's just changed the whole world. I mean, it's fantastic that everybody can, that it's so much more possible for people with stories to make them and get them out into the world. So we're so excited for Finnerty and for everybody involved in the project, because I just think it's a really fantastic film.
Yeah, no, and without spoiling for people, there's a great scene that will be in the film between you and Finnerty, and it's really great performance by you as this character of Pat. And what I wonder watching a performance like that, because it is, another role where you're this mother in it that's has some words of
Mhm.
wisdom. And do you ever like then go back and dig into like something you took from when you played Joyce to play Pat? Like, is there a connection there that kind of kicks in, or is it's totally separate?
You know, it's interesting because I was thinking about it the other day. It all felt so perfect that I didn't have to think about it much. But I realized later that I reached back a lot to my mom, because she grew up in a totally different time where, I was really young when the whole women's liberation movement first came in the 70s. And I've been looking back on that time and thinking, what, I always think of what that time was for me. And I started thinking about what it was like for my mother. And I realized that my mother didn't have the opportunities that I had.
Right.
And I know she would have wanted them desperately. I mean, if my mother could have lived differently, she'd have been down in Greenwich Village hanging out with poets and artists and all that. And instead, she was stuck in the suburbs somewhere. So it really made me think a lot about that.
Oh,
The
wow.
missed opportunity that so many women had. And, Infinity's film, you think about the fact that there's still, in our generation, there's still women out there who are happy with their lives, but
Right.
think, wow, it's different now. You go for it. You've got this
Right.
one shot to do
Right.
it. Go do it. And I feel that way about my daughter.
Oh, wow.
She's going to
That's
go beyond. Yeah, so it's kind of this really passing on. There's never been a better time to be a woman in the whole
absolutely.
history of the world, and that's amazing.
Yeah, it really is something. And you're such a great actress and you're inspiration for so many upcoming actresses.
Oh, thank you.
And I wonder, with all this wisdom you have in the field, that you are a vet of this, that did you ever like consider going into writing or directing? Is that something that you're kind of lean towards at all? Or are you really just focused on acting?
No, I'm actually feel like life is so short and I have so many interests that I just take each chapter as it comes. I really love photography. I love portraiture and I love documenting things. So I live in this really small village, and so I've been taking photographs here for like 22 years. So
Wow.
yeah, so there's this real passage of time. And what is so fascinating to me is that you take a picture, even a snapshot that doesn't seem like anything. It's just normal life, like what's interesting about it? You come back to it 20 years later and, realize that that's a moment in the past and it's a window onto the past. There was a German photographer, I wish I could remember his name. I was really inspired by his work. He did he had a big exhibit at the Met, and he did these huge portraits with like an 8x10, you know, old-fashioned kind of camera, and he did them life size, and he did families and landscapes, and then he had a small room next to that where he had just taken pictures of streets in Germany
Right.
in like the 60s, and there was like no one in them. They were just a shot of a street. I mean, people must have gone, yeah, okay, it's a shot of a street, real good
Yeah.
art here. When it shows up in the exhibit and you're looking at this piece of history. So I've been thrilled to kind of document this village and, watch, because there's a lot of the old way here. And when the older generation dies out, that way is gone.
Sure.
So, you know, so
So is
that's
that,
really exciting.
yeah, and I guess, is there like a bittersweet thing having that's been like a crazy year and a half right now with quarantining and Corona, and but have you found more time to like fill that time with doing things like you love, like photography, and kind of like finding that other creative side that you have?
You can't really go out. So,
Right. A lot of photos of your house.
but it's a
Yeah.
good time to edit. It's a really good
Okay.
time to edit.
Okay, there you go.
I mean,
Silver lining.
it's going to be the winter of editing photographs.
Yeah.
You always think, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time. I have time. Well, we got time now to do everything.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. And no, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel so positive about the vaccine. I can't wait to get mine. And I think that it will eventually really turn this around. So if you've got any photos to edit, you should do it now. There's real hope coming. In the summer, we can go
Good.
back outside, and by the fall, hopefully there will be a lot of people vaccinated, and life will start to change. It won't ever come
Yes.
back. But I just I want to particularly get out there the message of hope, because I think there really is a lot of hope right now.
No, that's great to hear. That just made me feel really good too. And yeah, and now kind of shifting gears a bit, you know,
Hmm.
you're so embraced in this diehard Buffy community. And it's cool because then
Yeah.
when you get that as an actress, which you've experienced, you get to go to Comic Cons and people still want to get signatures, photographs. You never fade away. You're
Yeah.
always in their hearts. And so now, do you ever get sick of it, or do you still embrace it? Like, or do you roll your eyes hearing like, oh, Buffy again? Like, or do you
I,
always feel that?
I feel so incredibly blessed, because when you're a theater actor, which I don't do anymore, I'm way too anxious. But when you're a theater actor, you have this intimate conversation with an audience. Every night's different. It's palpable, the connection and the life of it. But when you do film, and I really love the intimacy of doing film, but you don't see your audience. So to get to have done something and then go and meet the people who were touched by what you did, I mean, it's not only fun, it's an honor. It really is
Sure.
an honor, and it makes you feel so great that you did something, that you were able to, you had the opportunity to do something in your life that reached people's hearts. I mean, that's for me, that's the whole point of my attraction to the theater, was that.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And I'm sure Buffy fans are going to love hearing that. My sister is a diehard Buffy fan. I grew up in a house where all that was playing was Buffy in the background all the time. And I would watch episodes from that view. And it was always great. And she always praised how great you were. And yeah, it's just, I think that's really cool that you embrace it, because I feel like sometimes people act they're too good to even acknowledge a role that people love they played. And I think that's something that's really awesome and humble about you in particular. Now, Joyce, do you like watch TV and films a lot yourself? Like, are you binging TV during this? Or are you more like a reader? Like, what do you kind of do to pass time?
Oh, um, I love to read. Um,
Big
you
reader.
I mean, my parents didn't let us watch television when I was little. We could only watch like 4 hours a week. And so I was a huge reader. So it's like when I do start to stream things, I get totally into it. Um,
Okay.
but my impulse is always to pick up a book. And
Right.
every day people go, oh, I saw this, it was incredible, I saw that. And I'm like, oh, I got the whole list of what I want to watch. And whenever I do, I love it. But it's just like at the end of the day, I like to pick up a book.
I know. I love it.
So
And readers
that's really
become leaders.
embarrassing.
No, no, I love reading too. And I think people forget how good reading is if you don't keep doing it. Like you kind of just fall into just turning the TV on, but you forget. Um,
Yeah. No, I've been rereading John Le Carre since he passed
okay.
away recently. I loved to read him when I was younger. So I've been rereading him these days.
I love
But I
that.
have watched a few things. There's
Okay.
a
Yeah.
show, and I don't know if you get it in the US. I think it's called, I think it's Criminal Germany, Criminal Spain, Criminal.
Yes. Yes.
I watched that and I thought that was amazing. It was like a
Excellent.
theater performance. They used the
Yes.
same set. It was so different, the cultural thing. And I actually I have a friend who's German here, and he
Okay.
suggested it. So I started with the German one, and
Yeah.
I didn't really like the lead character. And I thought,
Okay.
I know Martin really loved this. So I switched it back to the German language and read the
And
subtitles. And it's
right.
totally different. I fell in love with him. Anyway.
Yeah. That's the trick. Now, before I let you go, when you're doing this film, before, during, after, as Pat,
Mhm.
you've been in the game for such a long time now, do you still have the same love for being on set and acting as you did when you started?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, acting is just putting yourself in imaginary circumstances and everything's so heightened. Every day we all have the drudgery. Well, for me anyway, going to the grocery store,
Sure.
all that normal everyday stuff, and everything gets pushed aside. And it's just about your connection in these given circumstances with another human being. And that, it's a constant reminder that that's the whole point of all of this life that we
Yeah.
have.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's always a joy to keep watching you. I'm so excited every time I see you're cast in something. So anyone who is a huge fan of Kristine, you're going to love this film. It's before, during, after. It's out
Yes.
today on demand. You can get it basically anywhere you stream and on demand things. And Kristine, is there anything else you would like to plug besides this movie?
No, I just want everybody to watch this movie because I think it's really, really fantastic and great. All kinds of great messages in it, and it's also funny and charming, and the kind of movies that women are making today.
Absolutely. You heard it from her yourself. Check out this film. Kristine, thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope to talk to you on your next project.
Oh, thank you for having me.